the the attraction, the strength of everything, which is great, which is powerful, which is attractive, in this material world, which is which is the highest, which is most prominent. This is all coming from Krishna. So he says, among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. So what is punishment? Why is there punishment? Because ultimately, punishment is the most powerful way to bring people back on track. So that's why Krishna is saying, when there's lawlessness, I am punishment. Because when someone is behaving against the law, to bring them back on track, they need some sort of punishment. Whatever age, whether it's a child who's 7 or 8 years old, like I have a daughter who's 7.5, sometimes she needs punishment. This is the way. An adult, if an adult is caught stealing from a shop, the police will come and put them into jail. This is called punishment. So whatever age, whether you're male or female or black or white or Indian or Chinese or whatever you are, whoever you are, whatever gender you are, whatever race or nationality you are, punishment brings us back on track. That's what it's meant. That's what punishment is meant to do. And if we think about it, why are we in this material world? What are we doing apart from facing one hell of a punishment? you know, it's one hell of a punishment. But what is the purpose of this punishment? Krishna is not punishing us because he sits there smiling while we're suffering. Krishna is allowing us to be punished, is sanctioning for us to be punished purely because he wants us to get back on track. On track to where? Back home, back to Godhead. That's where we come from. When the prisoner is in jail, he is just waiting and counting down the days until he can go back home and see his family, the people he's been missing. I just want to be with my family. He's in jail because he committed some crime and he just wants to go back home to be with his family. We are in the same situation, dear devotees. We are in the same position. We are here, stuck in the prison house of the material world, suffering every day with um, miseries, like miseries from other living entities, like the mosquitoes. Are there mosquitoes in Eldoret? Yes, plenty. There are mosquitoes in Eldoret. So we're suffering from other living entities. Our own body and mind is causing us so much suffering. Who's taken a medication tablet in the last 1 week? Someone has taken something, a paracetamol, a Panadol, something. The body needs something. Yeah, the body needs something. The body is struggling. And natural disasters are also there. Natural, the way the world itself is causing us problems. I mean, we can see this coronavirus pandemic is still not over. So these things are going on. These things are going on all the time. These miseries are there. This is our punishment so that we can understand that this material world is not our real home. That's it. And once we understand the material world is not our real home, just like the prisoner, when he realizes actually this is not good in prison, what does the prisoner do? The prisoner starts to have or starts to show good behavior. Once the prisoner starts to show good behavior, starts to reform himself, then what do they say? You can come out because of good behavior. You're allowed to leave the prison because of good behavior. So similarly for us, when we have good behavior, then we can go back home to our real home with Krishna in the spiritual world. What is good behavior? Good behavior means we act according to the Shastra. We act according to the Shastra. Atma vashervide atma prashadam adhigachati. When we control ourselves by following the regulative principles of freedom, then we achieve the mercy of the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is given to us when we act according to scripture. What is acting according to scripture? Well, Krishna says, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Shmaranam, perform these devotional services. Perform these devotional services. Well, Prahlad Maharaj is explaining in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Krishna is explaining that when we surrender unto him, then he will take care of all our sinful reactions. So any punishment, he will then take care of it. If we're due anything, he will take care. But what do? Surrender to Krishna. So the most powerful way to bring people on track is through punishment. Our punishment is here every day. In the material world, there's a punishment. This body is a punishment. The limitations of this body is a punishment. The fact that we need to sleep so much, isn't it just a punishment? Like, why do we have to get tired? Imagine we didn't get tired. How much more could we achieve? But the body gets tired and the body needs to sleep. This material world is a punishment. And when we can understand that Krishna is waiting for us back home, we will act with good behavior. Good behavior. And if we have good behavior, we can go home early. Yes, we may have been due 58,000 more lifetimes in this material world, but somehow with good behavior, with shastric behavior, we can go back to Krishna in this very life. Srila Prabhupada says 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and following the 4 regulative principles, he is giving us the back door key to the spiritual world, the back door key. That's how we can go back home. We should do it. Let's do it. So this is punishment. The next thing here Krishna is saying is, of those who seek victory, I am morality. So seeking victory through virtue, through morality, is the best way of seeking victory. Niti, morality, niti rasmi jigatam. So this niti, this morality, there's different types of niti. There's Brihaspati niti, Sukra niti, Kanika niti. So Brihaspati niti, this is what represents Krishna. Why? Because this is when we choose a good means by good ends. So for example, Krishna, when he went to try and convince the Kauravas not to have a war, he said to them, just give the Pandavas 1 village each. If you give the Pandavas 1 village each, there's no need to have this war. So he tried to seek victory through morality, that everyone can be happy, just give the Pandavas 1 village each. But Duryodhana, out of selfishness, he did not want to even give the enough for like the tip of a needle. He didn't want to give, like the tip of a needle, he didn't want to give. So he didn't want to give anything. So that's Brihaspati Niti. This is what represents Krishna. When we have, we want to do something good for a good purpose. We choose a good way, like negotiating nicely for a good purpose. Then there is Sukra Niti. So Sukra Niti is, you got a good purpose, but the way you achieve that purpose may not be so good. So an example of this is when Duryodhan was killed. When Duryodhan was killed, do we remember how he was killed? How was Duryodhan killed? Apart Prem Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Yeah, he was broken his waist by the Bhimsen.
Yes, so Bhima hit him underneath the waist, on the top of, around his thigh area, in his thigh area. So what was wrong with that?
Yeah, that was wrong in the field. That is not the principle to club fighting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
When you got club fighting, mace fighting, you cannot hit below the waist. That's part of the rules. So here, Sukra Niti is the means of achieving wasn't so good, but the purpose was good. The purpose was to bring righteousness. Getting rid of Duryodhan brings righteousness. And we can actually see, if we think about it, this was all Krishna's arrangement. If we understand what happened when before the 18th day, so the 17th night, the last day before the war, Duryodhan was asked by his mother that you come to me, I will open my blindfold. Gandhari said she'll open her blindfold, and when she sees Duryodhan, she will give him all the strength from the chastity of her eyes. So she said to Duryodhan, you come to me dressed the way I saw you when you were born. She couldn't actually say what she wanted, but ultimately that means come with no clothes. Because if you come with no clothes, then I'll protect your whole body through the chastity of my eyes. But then when Duryodhan was going to see his mother, who turned up? Krishna. Krishna was there. And Krishna said, what are you doing? You're naked. And Duryodhan explained, I'm going to see my mother. He said, Krishna said, look, go, do what you want. That's okay. But at least cover your private parts. Cover your private area, and then you go see your mother. No problem. So then he covered that area. And when Duryodhan covered that area, he went to his mother. His mother knew immediately that this Krishna has again created a situation that will make Duryodhan um, fallible. So she protected Duryodhan, but she couldn't protect the groin area, the thigh area, and the private area. So Kushi couldn't protect that area. What happened when Duryodhan went to fight the next day? Bhima was hitting him, hitting him, hitting him, hitting him, hitting him. People say that it was unfair, but in one sense, it was unfair on Bhima, because every time he hit Duryodhan, nothing happened to Duryodhan. He kept getting up. And every time Duryodhan hit Bhima, Bhima would actually get hurt. So then Krishna said to Bhima that ultimately what he has to do is hit below the waistline. So he hit below the waistline, and then Duryodhan is not protected in that area because Gandhari couldn't protect that area with her eyes because Duryodhan had covered himself there. And it's got many layers. Spiritual life has many layers, and these stories have many layers. Those same thighs, when Draupadi was taken to the assembly hall, Duryodhan said to Draupadi, come and sit on my lap, and he was pointing to those thighs. He was tapping his thighs and said, come sit here. So for many reasons, Krishna has so many arrangements. He said this to Draupadi. Then he said this to Draupadi. So those thighs had to cause him a problem because of the insult to the pure devotee. Then when he went to cover himself, when he went to reveal himself to his mother naked, Krishna told him to cover his private area. And then he wasn't covered. Then it comes to the war, and then he's defeated by the mace, but he being hit below the waist. This is an example of Sukraniti. The purpose is good, but ultimately the way this purpose was achieved wasn't so good. Okay, because one can still argue that the laws were broken. There are many other things. I mean, when we look at it transcendentally, we know that whatever Krishna says is right. But if you look at it from that perspective, hitting below the waist, the means wasn't so good. The means doesn't matter when you want to achieve a purpose. That's called Sukraniti. So we do that when there's a requirement. At times, there's a requirement to use Sukraniti, like this purpose, because it was an unfair fight with Duryodhan being so powerful and Bhima being attacked in that way. And then there's Kanika Niti, which is like Shakuni. You don't care. Just do what you want for yourself. The ends are not good. The means are not good. Nothing is good, but to try and achieve something. You just strive for yourself. So if you think about the way that the gambling match happened in the Mahabharata, they cheated and they sent the Pandavas away on exile. So this is morality, but the best type of morality is Brihaspati Niti, which is good means, good end. You want to achieve a good purpose and you want to achieve it in a good way. That's the best. And that is Krishna. And that's what Krishna is saying here. Of those who seek victory, I am morality. The best way to seek victory is through morality. Do it nicely for a good purpose. Of secret things, I am silence. Of secret things, I am silence. When someone tells you a secret, it is our duty to keep it a secret. It is our duty to keep it a secret. Because when Rupa Goswami explains the loving exchanges, it is explained that one reveals their mind to another in confidence. So we should be confidential when we are hearing other people reveal their mind. If there's someone reveals their mind, we should treat it confidentially, unless, of course, someone says something like, I'm feeling suicidal and I've made a plan and how I'm going to kill myself and I'm harming myself. Then we might need to seek some advice to actually help that person. But unless there's some serious danger, then we should keep that confidentiality, because then we can build trust. And when we can build trust, devotees feel loved. So we need to build trust by giving devotees confidence that they can speak to us, we will hear them, not judge them, and not tell anyone else. What is silence? It's also described in the Nectar of Instruction that actually silence, like this monrat, isn't actually, some people do monavrata, which is they don't say anything. But Prabhupada explains that actually real silence is by not speaking of Krishna conscious topics. Sorry, by only speaking of Krishna conscious topics, by avoiding prajalpa, by avoiding gossip and worldly things, and speaking purely Krishna consciousness. This is silence, and this silence is the best. This is um, this is the way to impress the Lord, that we can only speak of Him. I'm only going to speak about you. Other topics may come up and somehow we can avoid. It's juicy. This Gramya Katha is juicy stuff, isn't it? It's juicy stuff. Did you hear this one and that one and this one and that one and that one and this one? We love it. We love it. The mind loves it. It's not us that love it. The soul doesn't love it. The mind loves it. The mind starts to think that if I know this gossip, then I will feel better. That's how the mind thinks. But the soul is crying. The soul is crying. The soul is crying for Krishna. The soul is crying to please unite with the Lord. Soul needs to be with super soul, Atma and Paramatma. Unite the Atma and Paramatma through Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Shmaranam. Don't distance them. Don't separate them. And by idle gossip and prajalpa, we are telling Krishna, actually, I'm not interested in you. Really important. So the best silence is speak only about Krishna, glorify Krishna, glorify the devotees. Try and find good in the devotees. Try and find good in the devotees. Try and think of one quality about the devotee you don't like. Find one good quality and glorify them. We'll feel good. We will feel good. Seeing good in others helps us feel good also. And the final thing that Krishna says, Jnanam Jnanavatam Aham. Of the wise, I am wisdom. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, the wise man who can discriminate between matter and spirit. So if we can discriminate between matter and spirit, this knowledge is Krishna himself. This is important knowledge. I know what is matter and I know what is spirit. Each living entity is ultimately spirit, but covered in a material body. This is matter. I'm in a material world. My body is material, but the soul will carry on. We should distinguish between the soul and the body. We should distinguish between Krishna and the living entity. How can we distinguish? Qualitatively, we are one, but quantitatively, we are different. Krishna is the origin, Anadir Govinda. He is the origin. He is always in his original spiritual body, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Whereas we have come to this material world and we've got this body, but this body that we're so proud of, this body that we decorate, the body, do I look nice? Yeah, I look nice. Tilak is looking good. Yeah, everything's nice. Yeah, I'm good, good. This body that we're so proud of, as soon as the soul leaves the body, what that body is rendered useless straight away. Straight away. In India, in Kenya, I think also, within a few hours, the body is taken to the crematorium. Don't keep it hanging around. Just go. Useless. It's smelling. It starts decaying, rotting. There's nothing good in the body. As soon as the soul has left. While the soul is in the body, so much energy, so much vigor, so much use of this body. And this knowledge that there is a difference between matter and spirit, that there is spirit. What is spirit? Antimatter. Whatever is not material is spirit. When you can go beyond matter, there is spirit. Because there are some things that cannot be answered in the material world. And what cannot be answered within the material world is antimatter. This is spirit. In mathematics, they call it infinity. When some things cannot be answered in mathematics, there's a concept called infinity. This means antimatter. There's something beyond matter. There's something beyond the knowledge in this material world. And what is beyond the knowledge in the material world? This is what Krishna has given us. This is knowledge beyond the material world. He gives us knowledge of the material world, but also beyond the material world. This is the Bhagavad Gita. This is the song of God. This is Krishna. So here in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is explaining how he is opulent, how he is attractive, how he is all these things. As long as we can remember that we're not reducing Krishna to these things, we are just saying that we can recollect Krishna through this. That the highest type of morality is Krishna. The highest type of punishment is coming from Krishna, us in this material world, so that we go back on track to Krishna. This is Krishna. Of secrets, this silence, this silence, staying silent is so powerful. This is Krishna. And of the wise, I am the wisdom. The wisdom of the spiritual world, the wisdom of Krishna's pastimes, the wisdom in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the wisdom in the scriptures, the wisdom that Srila Prabhupada carried in his heart when he came to the West. This is what can really free us from this material entanglement that we found ourselves in, this material punishment, this jail that we found ourselves in. So we got this body, this is our uniform for the material world. But when this body is finished and useless, let's make sure that the soul goes next to a spiritual body. So these are some thoughts. I can see the timer. We have 8 minutes and 30 seconds in case anyone has any comments, questions, and corrections. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Is there any question? Well, maybe then I should just ask this small confusion that's just sprung up in my head. The difference between God's superior and inferior natures. Inferior natures, Prabhuji?
So the material world,
Oh,
yeah. So his superior nature, spiritual nature, the material world, this is all the inferior energy. Everything temporary is inferior.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Prabhuji, for that clarification.
No problem.
Yeah. So if there's nothing, then I can hand over to Path Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I think there is a 1-2 question is there, but it is very short purport and also described very clearly by Prabhuji. And also, like he is telling, maybe there is some sound is there backside. Like Prabhuji told, the punishment is also useful for us to correction of these faults, and also sometimes if God also giving punishment like the inferior energy, like Durga Devi or Maya Devi in this material world. So that by this one, the duty, so that giving the punishment, so that people will know what is the difficulties in this world. Then he will be go back to Godhead, and he can realize if there is a Krishna giving no punishment, and there is no misery in this material world. So nobody you want to go there. They feel happy here. So punishment is also there to rectify our faults, to correcting ourselves. So that is also referring to Krishna. Also, Prabhuji also told this one, they say, and the morality of the victory. And where is the victory? And if there is no morality, there is no sense. So that is the main thing. Even we go to the Puranas and Itihas, we can know that one. Where there is the morality in every victory, we can remember that one. Even the enemies will come, but when he surrender, the king or the soldiers will not kill him. That is the morality. So that we can remember what is the glorious time that was when there is a fighting too much, but one is a surrender, one is some problems, but they will not be killed. That one, that is called morality. And if any victory in our daily life also, if we are doing something, there is a competition world, competition time, and if we will going everywhere, there is a competition, there is challenge everywhere, and in office or in a society or in a village or in our home also, we will win this situation, but we lose our morality, then there is no question of victory. You cannot happy yourself within you. That is also man thing. And the secret things, like secret means the rahasya. All the secret things, there are so many discussion. Prabhupada also discussing here. Uh, they can, there is so many very intelligent things. There is some secret things. They have some plan. They are doing something. But when we are keep silence, then we can uh, overcome so many problems. We can keep silence without just hearing, just watching, then you thinking, then you giving your judgment. So silence, that time is mono, silence. It is so important, and that is refers to Krishna. So by the silence, we can solve so many problems. Also, we can avoid many problems also. That is the thing. So you can see the very things, some small things. When there is some arguments, there is some fighting, or there is some discussion, we are keep silent. Then people will not judge you. The people think, oh, he may be watching proper. He may be a very wiseful person. He is very intelligent, but he is not like talking unnecessary, like Prabhuji told the Prajalpa, not talking Prajalpa. Just keep remain silent. So nobody is supposed to know what is going within you, on your mind. So silence is very important. When every day we are facing this one. So the thing is just the opulence of Krishna all the time. We are punished all the time. Many times also the victory, we are taking also victory, go through the victory, also go through the silence all the times. And when these things we can remember, then we can know that is the opulence of a Krishna. Keep silence, then that is referring to Krishna. In this way, we can, if you think we can read this one, then we have mind that, oh, I became silence. That is the that silence is referring to Krishna, that victory is referring to Krishna, that punishment is referring to Krishna, that wisdom is referring to Krishna. Then we can easily access to Krishna and we'll go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for
Thank
your
you.
class. It's a small purport. Maybe time is over. This is a small session. It's 40-minute limited time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice summary there, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. We just learned from you.
Oh, no.
So I request everyone who join in this group, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His Kanchanajba Prabhuji. Please join. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Panchakalpatarobhyasya
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
His Grace Kanchanajba Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hare Bol. Thank you very much. We meet tomorrow. Same time, same place. The next text. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. You're doing a great job.
Oh,
Continue.
I'm trying.
Continue. Good, good, good. Okay. Hare Krishna.
All right. Hare Krishna.